Hello, my lovely friends. It's Marta here. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you beautiful card made with the free gift from Simply Cards and Papercraft magazine. This is their issue number 243. I just want to quickly share with you there is a master class about inking die cut pieces, and I absolutely love these color combinations, and I was inspired by these colors to create my today's card. I also want to share with you something I'm super happy with. There is this spotlight on article where I am sharing with you how to create the chocolate box. Beside the article and step-by-step tutorial, there is also a free template to download. So check on the description area because I will give you the link to the free download, the template I was sharing with you. There is also a bunch of the printable papers from the magazine. So for those of you who have the magazine, you can go to the craft world and download yourself this lovely paper. I think there's 12 of them in the pack, but I actually printed only 3, the one I like the most. What I'm super excited about, this is my card from my last video, so you can see how big those stencils are, and I'm absolutely in love with them already. I love them and I cannot wait to play with them. Beside the 2 stencils, which are like slightly bigger than 5 by 7 inches, you also get this beautiful stamp set with lovely floral pieces. There's a couple sentiments, some butterflies, so lots of different things there. I am starting my card from folding a A4 size card in half to get myself a card base, and I love working on this big size whenever I am creating the cards which I know I will be given in hand. I like to create them slightly bigger. For the card which I am posting, I would probably choose something smaller maybe, but because I know this card will be given in hand, I can create something slightly larger. I've cut one layer to be my like a front panel, and then I am creating the focal point with this slightly smaller piece of the white paper. I didn't measure it, I'm sorry, I just eyeball it to be like roughly around like a half an inch smaller from the orange piece. And here is the fun thing. I was thinking, what shall I do with the stencil? Shall I just simply inking it through, or maybe create something different? And then I remind myself I have this very old tan mat, which is from a Spellbinder Grand Caliber machine, but this mat for embossing die cuts or other elements, and I just love it. So what I'm gonna do, I will try to emboss my stencil on the cardstock, and for that I am using the masking tape. I am not adhering the tape on top, but as you can see here, I've just placed my masking tape from the behind of the paper because I don't want to tear this lovely layer, and I know that once I press it through, and I'm using my regular sandwich on the Big Shot SIZZIX machine, as I would do for die cutting, I know that this glue will be really sticky. As you can see here, I'm glad I used the piece of the copy paper because this protects my paper from tearing. I am gently lifting my stencil, and once I get it done, I have to remove the masking tape because this was really like pressed really firmly once the stencil was in the machine. I don't want to tear the paper. So whenever you have the problem with the tape, whether it's a masking tape, washi tape, just use your heating tool, and if you heat it up slightly, the glue will release and you will have no trouble of removing that tape. So this is what I'm doing here. I'm just gently heating the sides, and that's ready. The paper is a little bit warped, but once we adhere it to the card base, it will just flatten up, no problem. To enhance this pattern even more, I've decided to reach for the embossing ink, and I will coat it with the layer of clear embossing on top. Firstly, what I did, I grabbed myself a little finger dauber and I started going over the stencil pattern, and I just place it in exactly the same spot as before. But then I was like halfway through and I thought, I wonder how the brayer will do the job for me, because this is the idea I was sharing with you in my last video. And unfortunately, sadly to say, but the brayer didn't do this excellent job as on my last video. The stencil is way thinner than the embossing folder, so once I was brayering through the pattern, I did get some embossing ink managed to go on the area outside the pattern. But it's not a big problem for me because I am using the clear embossing, and it's not going to be as much visible. Plus, once I sprinkle the powder, I just simply grab my brush and I just clean up a couple areas which were covered in the embossing powder, and I didn't want it to be there. But if I would do the card back again, I would definitely keep the stencil on and then either bray it with the brayer or with the finger dauber, but I would just kept the stencil. And here you can see how beautiful this paper turned out. I love this subtle shine and so much dimension from just pressing the stencil. So now it's time to create some elements to fill up my card and to create a lovely floral composition. Because by the time I was making this card, I knew I was very short in time because I will have to quickly go and pick up my son from the nursery. What I did, I've stamped the images directly on my colored paper. These are those free printable papers from the magazine, and I just love those slightly wash watercolor look. So once I stamped my images on it, I just had the job done. The job was done for me, and I no longer had to color them. And you can see here I stamped 4 flowers, and I cut 2 of them entirely, and then the remaining 2 I just cut to a smaller pieces, left some petals together and then a few free one. And then I also stamped myself a bunch of the leaves, and I think I've made 2 butterfly. I've cut out 2 butterfly as well. I'm fussy cutting all the elements, and I need to tell you, my friends, that if it comes for fussy cutting elements, I love working with embossed image. You got this little raised edge on your stamped image, and it's so easy to cut around it. You just press your scissors beside the embossed edge, and it's just gliding it through. So this is my favorite technique, and it's probably why you quite often see me that whenever I'm stamping images, I usually go with the embossing. Plus, I really like, this is a metallic gold rich embossing powder from the Wow, and I really like how it's shiny, and it gives this nice sparkle and something extra to the element rather than being stamped in a black ink. Once I have all my elements fussy cut, I grab myself a piece of the kitchen sponge and I'm placing each element face down, and I use this flower shaping tool. What I'm doing here, I am pressing in the center of each petal and just curve them up. This is a great technique to turn any flat image to something more dimensional. And once I shape all my elements, I am starting to assemble my card. I'm starting from placing this peach color paper as my background first, and then I will place the embossed piece on top of it. For this peach color paper, I only use the tape on all 4 sides on the edges and Dasha glue on the corners. But for this little piece, because it's slightly wrinkled, I will add a little bit more extra tape in the center as well. And once I place all the tape and add a little bit extra glue here and there, as you can see here, I will press firmly, and this piece will just flatten up on the card, and it's not going to be as wrinkly. And I need to tell you, my friends, I am looking on the card the next day once I did it, and it flattened up even more because it was just, attached to the card base, and there's a few layers of the paper, so it came out really, really nice and straight. And now it's time to assemble my flowers, and for that I am using the hot glue. I'm just roughly trying to see where would I like them to be, and I love working with the hot glue for the elements like that because I don't have to wait for them to dry. If I will use a liquid glue, there is a chance I will just move things around and destroy my composition. But with the hot glue, I am just adding the drop of the glue, I'm pressing it, and that's it. It stays in place, and this also prevents me from this stage when I overthink everything and change composition 5 times. So I love working with the hot glue just like that. Now I have a couple of the leaves, and I will add them around my floral elements. However, I do recommend you, and this is what I did here, you will see that I left one leaf. You can leave one or two spare leaves, because once you place the sentiment, it's always nice to put a little bit of the composition on top of your sentiment, so it's not gonna be, it will just the sentiment will become a part of the composition. And because I have so many light pastel color tone elements here on my card, what I did for my sentiment, I've decided to use the same gold embossing powder, but this time I'm gonna embossing my sentiment in black on the black cardstock. Now I couldn't find my embossing body, this little pillow, so I used the bottle of the baby powder, and this is very, very important. Each time you emboss powder like white or gold, silver on a black cardstock, it's really visible if you have some particles in other areas, because they're just gonna be showing. So make sure you're gonna use some sort of anti-static tool. It could be a baby powder, it could be a professional tool, or even like a drop of the flour, wherever you have, just to take off the oil and this residue and this static from the paper. As you can see here, because I use a quite generous amount of the powder on my strip, it's become this like a grayish cloudy look. But don't worry about that. I have a trick. I'm taking a baby wipe, and rather than use the wet wipe, I am squeezing a piece of the paper towel together with the wet wipe, and I'm just getting right amount of the moisture on this paper towel to just wipe it off, and the paper become black again, nothing gets destroyed. I have this beautiful gold shiny sentiment, and it's ready to go. Once I had my sentiment, I've decided it's too much, a little bit too much black, so to make it like less showing, I've just trimmed it to the sides and become a little bit more delicate, which I like it much better this way. So once I'm happy with it, I will glue the sentiment, and here is this leaf which I was telling you about. I just kept it going for the end, so this way, once I adhere my sentiment, I have something to slightly put it on the top of the sentiment, and I think this is just looking nicer. It's just, make all the composition working together. I'm adding two of those butterflies, so they're like kind of flying away from the floral sentiment. And last but not least, I'm just gonna add some pearls to the flower centers, because I think they were just missing something to be in the center. So I have those large pearls. These are like 14 millimeters one, and I just love how they shine, and they really, really go nicely together with the gold embossing powder. Now, my friends, if you're watching this video, please say hi. Please don't forget to give a like if you enjoy my videos, and click the share button, copy the link to the video. That will really, really help me out as a creator. Thank you once again for being here with me. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to see you shortly on another video. I will be sharing a community post with couple proposition for my next video, so check there so you could decide which video you would like to see next. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and bye bye.